Hello, my YouTube peoples. Jay here with another tutorial. And this one, ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely excited for because this is one of my favorite tools that I use on every single project that needs some sort of functionality like this. Ladies and gentlemen, and all others, that is Resend. And if you don't know what Resend is, this is a tool that we can use to send emails via API. I use this literally everywhere. I don't think I've ever used an alternative to this. So I'm very excited for this video because this is one of my favorite tools. Now, before we get into this video, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, my camera is gone. There'll be no camera for this video. I know you're gonna miss seeing my handsome face, but we're in a rush. We got a lot to do today, and my camera is in another location. You'll see it next time, maybe. So let's continue. To start off, we're going to start here with Resend because you do have to do some domain verifications and stuff like that to be able to send emails. So I want that to be handled first so that that can be working in the background as we go to work in Nordcraft. So we're just going to come to resend.com. I really wish I had an affiliate link for you, but I don't think they do that. But just go ahead and create your account. I already have one, so I'm just going to sign in. And actually, this is a sneak peek for tomorrow's video where we'll hopefully be implementing this Cloudflare turnstile. I think that's how you say that, which is like a Google reCAPTCHA alternative so that you can prevent spam. So hopefully that'll be tomorrow's video. But I'm just going to sign in here. Boom, like that. Okay, so once you create your account, we have to verify a domain. So you might already be on this screen if you just created it. I think they have some onboarding sort of screen, but it should be the same process. We're just going to come to domains. We're going to add a domain, and this is where you could add a subdomain. So for me, I already did this process, so I'm going to keep it as updates.jcmpb.com, but this can be literally whatever you want. As you can see, they have some examples over here. Like I can do MK if I wanted to, but I already added all the records for updates, so I'm going to leave that as is. All right, select your closest region. Then we're going to add the domain. Now, depending on your domain provider, they might give you options to automate this process for you to add the records. If not, just do your manual setup. I already added these records from the time I already ran this, so I'm just going to do manual setup and say that I've already added the records. Now we're going to give this some time. Hopefully you set this up correctly. And while this is running, we're going to go ahead and work in Nordcraft. So in Nordcraft now, I just have a simple form. I'm going to assume that you already kind of know how Nordcraft works and you can create a form. So just go ahead and create your form however you see fit. For this video, I'm just going to have a name field, a email field, and a message field. And I did my usual setup where I just have one form variable that has all of my fields in them. You don't have to do that. You can do it the normal way, like you set up a name variable and a email variable and a message variable, however you see fit. So once you have your form set up, we're going to add Resend as a service in Nordcraft so that we can get that beautiful API documentation. So to do that, I think you already know the process. We're going to come over here to services. I already had it there. Sorry. Let me get rid of a few of these things here from testing. We're going to add a service. We're going to do custom. I'm going to name it Resend. And Resend does have open API spec files, but they only have it in YAML. And I think they only had it in YAML. That's not how you pronounce that. Don't get at me, by the way. But I went ahead and converted it to JSON for you, which is what Nordcraft requires. This link will be in the description. So just open it, click on raw here, copy that URL, paste that here. And then for the base URL, that's just going to be HTTPS, whatever that is, /API.resend.com. Just going to copy that. And then we have that added. So now over here in the APIs for our form, let's go ahead and add resend. And we're going to do the first one that should be there, which is to send an email. Okay. Before we do that, you will need to create and copy an API key. So in resend, oh, there we see our domain is now verified. So in resend, you want to come to API keys. I already have one here, which I'll delete, and we'll re-add it. And we'll create one called it Nordcraft. And then copy yours. Again, make sure you copy it because you will only see it once. And then I'm just going to have a formula. I'm going to call it like resend API key, something like that. Paste that value there. Now back on our form component in that email, in that API request that we were creating, I'm going to rename this to resend send email. And then in the headers, we have to add that API key that we just created. So we're going to add the authorization header, but instead of it using the cookie, we want to use that API key that we got from resend. And lastly, we have to work on the body here. So let's open that up. I'm going to full screen this, and we're going to need a few fields. So for one, we're going to need, I think, from, to, reply to, subject, and text. Let me just double check this documentation real quick. Yeah, okay. So the from, this is very important. This is not the user's email that gets entered into the form. Let me say that again. This is not the user's email that sent the form. This has to be one of the domains that you verified in Resend. So for example, my verified domain is updates.jcmpb.com. So what I'm going to do over here in Nordcraft is I'm going to say that my from is going to be from updates, and then I forget what the name of these is called. I'm just going to call them chevrons, whatever they're called. I'm going to say that it's going to come from, say, like, do not reply at, and this has to be a verified domain, updates.jcmpb.com, closing whatever thing that is. So I'll show you in the documentation, the from has to be either this format or just be the email address. And remember, this domain right here has to be whatever domain you verified in Resend. The sender can be anyone, but the domain in the from has to be a verified domain. Now the to can be anyone. I'll send this to myself. Now the reply to is the email that the user provided. So that I'm going to use form and email. Subject, that probably won't change. It might change for you, but for me, it won't change. So I'm just going to say new contact form submission. I apologize if my keyboard is loud. I'm using a different mic today. So if my keyboard is distracting, let me know. And then text, I'm just going to put in that message. I won't be using the name field there. You can if you want to. I'm just going to keep it simple, and I'm just going to use message. So again, this is what our body sort of looks like. All right. Once we have that, I'm just going to add a quick logs of console here on success. I'm just going to say success, and on error, I'm just going to say error. And I think we should be good. Last thing we should have to do is just connect our form to that API request like so. Now let's give it a try. I'm just going to add this on my, not dashboard, on my home page. Sorry, give me 1 second. Contact. Boom. All right, so this a try. Open inspect. I'll just look at the network here. Let's enter, oh, that's the name. I'm gonna enter the email. I'll just do one of my other emails. And I'll say, hello, friend. Like that. All right, let's go ahead and press send. And we see we got a 200, and it should return you back an ID for that email. Okay, let's go ahead and see here. Now you can see this is where we entered update. So that was the name that I put there. And you're going to see the email. Excuse me. Can you? There we go. You're going to see that the email is that same do not reply at, let me zoom in, sorry. Do not reply at the verified domain that I added. And you can see to me, because that is the email request, or sorry, the email address that I added here. So if I go to reply, it'll reply to that reply to email. And there's our message. And that is all. You can now go into Resend and you can see all of the emails that you've sent. Let me zoom out of here. Sorry. You can see all the emails you've sent. See, I've sent 2. That one was just 1 minute ago. We can come in here and we can see what the text and all that stuff was. So ladies and gentlemen, again, I'm glad to have introduced you to one of my favorite tools if you've never used it before. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment on what you want to see more. And ladies and gentlemen, and others, I'll see you next time.